Welcome back to Bible and Blues. Tonight we're doing Legion Chapter 4. I'm going to rename it Chapter because, that's what they're calling it, right? Chapter 4, not just Episode 4. I kind of like that. So, kind of an update here. I'm working on that computer, those who are paying attention to that. And turns out my i5 processor is fine. The i5 quad is fine, but the motherboard is the problem. So I have a new motherboard on its way. Hopefully we'll be here Saturday to install and get that going. So without further ado, we start out the show. We have, I'm going to call him Leisure Suit Larry for now, because he's in a leisure suit and he has a drink in his hand, similar to this right here. And he's trying to do an introduction to a story, and it's just, I can kind of relate to that. He's having a tougher time than me. I think he's more of a perfectionist than I am. So, anyway, put that out there. Back to David, because, the story is about David after all. But David is still out, okay? And everybody else has been freed up and everything. And they decide to send Kerry. There's a reason for this. I'm going to call her Kerry 2. You have Kerry, the guy who was in control of the all the machines for the MRI that he teleported, and the other machines when he went into an astral plane, to his sister. So Kerry 2, Sid, and Ptonomy, look that one up again, are sent out, and to try to find out what's going on, what's the truth, why are they having these problems. Good old fashioned investigative work is what they're doing. And so what they're doing, and so they go there. They go to Dr. Poole's office, who was his therapist at the time, and while they're remembering things. Sid's remembering things about the memory world, the memory work, and and there was something special about the closet, and so that's one of the things that kind of been the recurring theme in Dr. Poole's office has been there's something about the closet that's special. David it was important to David when he was in the session, and there's that whole thing where he was scared what was in the closet. And then when he was when there was the child David in the memory work, he ran through that closet door into this other area. So they look in there and they find this busted reel-to-reel machine that Dr. Poole used during sessions. And so they kind of figure out this thing's been damaged and has blood on it even. And it turns out David had actually used it on Dr. Poole when Dr. Poole walked in on him while he was robbing the place, and smashed his face in and really did a number on him with it. It's the act of an addict. So they did, they talk about that a little bit because this is stuff that Sid didn't know about him. This is the stuff that he didn't want her to know. So they're they're going to figuring out what they're going to do next, and so and instead of staying in hotels, which is traceable, I guess, they're camping out in the woods, or not necessarily camping, but they're starting a fire in the woods. I don't know why they're in the woods. I really can't tell you. But Sid starts seeing the character from the Angry Boy book. And the character, she'll see it, and she'll look away for a second, get distracted by something, come back to it, and there it is. And that's really weird. So, and that's in the woods there. And while we're in the woods, they're sitting there, and we learn a little bit about Kerry and Kerry 2's story. And it's really strange. Apparently, Kerry, the old guy, the old scientist, doctor kind of guy, and Kerry 2 they're merged into one person. So Kerry 2 essentially lives most of her time inside of Kerry. And you know, kind of is a really strange relationship. You know, she's kind of parasitic and really, but they have a relationship and they're like brother and sister. And, you know, we learn a little bit about their story that has to do with how this all happened. So that was kind of interesting to find out. You know, Kerry is the scientist and he's kind of funny, makes her laugh, and she protects him. She's the butt kicker. Okay, she knows how to fight. She likes to fight. She enjoys it. And that's kind of her job. So they decide their next step is to go see David's ex-girlfriend. I think her name was Allison. And okay, so actually, I think her name is Philly. I'll have to double check that. Correct me if I'm wrong. I wanted to say Allison, and I'm looking at IMDb, and it might be Philly. Okay? Don't ask me where I'm getting the name mixed up. I have no idea. Should have written it down, huh? And it's Ptonomy. Ptonomy Wallace. By the way. I'll try to say that again. Ptonomy Wallace. You try it. Ptonomy. Ptonomy. So, where they got that name, I don't know. I blame Stan Lee. So, they went to the old girlfriend, and Ptonomy scans her. So what they do is Sid sits there and talks while Ptonomy sits there with sunglasses on, acting like he's blind, and uses his ability to scan her memories without her knowing. She's distracted. Kind of scary you could do that. And it turns out she's a real estate agent. So what do you do with a real estate agent? You get them talking about buying a house. It'll get them going. Through the scan, they figure out that Dr. Poole is now at a lighthouse. And where this lighthouse is. So they have that all figured out, and they get up, and then Sid is like, it's kind of an important part. Sid's like, you look familiar. Did you know David Heller? And of course she says, oh yes, I knew him. Blah 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 blah. He always treated me good. He is troubled. And then they ask about his friend Lenny, and she says, no, Benny. Benny was a man. So it turns out Lenny, who David has turned in his head, and who is playing the part of a girl in his head, was actually a man who he was doing drugs with. Okay, so, and then so that was kind of weird. Okay, so he turned in anyway. I don't know if he had to reduce the person for himself, for his ability, or make them more palatable in a more attractive sense, or what. I have no idea. To make them less strong as a woman, or I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea where I'm going with that. I'll probably edit that right out. So Sid says, well, if we find him, do you have a message for me? And the ex-girlfriend says, they're watching. And so it's like, oh, okay. So they go to the lighthouse. So anyway, other things are happening during all this. There's more characters than just them. So among other things, Amy, his sister, is still in custody with Division 3. And during this whole episode, she's stuck in this weird cell that has, this really slanted floor and this little ledge about that wide at the top that she can sit on. And then it's a slanted floor like that, and maybe a little space down at the bottom that she can walk on. And that's where she's at. And it seems like they're doing lack of sleep kind of torture on her in this, flashing. The flat lights are flashing and stuff like that. And they feed her, and apparently they're not feeding her very much either, because she attacks the food. They give her a tray of food, and she just attacks it. At first, she gets a few bites into it, and then just in frustration, she throws it against the wall and screams. And it turns out there's somebody in the cell right next to her. Okay, and that somebody is Dr. Kissinger, who was David's doctor at Clockworks. So, and they get to talking, and Kissinger's like, did you realize that he had something else going on? And he's not really ready to say it, and she's kind of like, she's starting to realize it, and she's like, he never really had any friends. And he's like, oh yeah, except for that, and Dr. Kissinger's like, except for the dog. He just loved that. He seemed to love that dog, King, always talking about him. She's like, we never had a dog. So that was weird. His whole memory is based on having a dog, right? So what else is happening? Okay, so at one point in time, Melanie sees. She walks into a room and she looks and she sees a man in a diving suit, a vision of a man in a diving suit, and it freaks her out. She gets Kerry and they go down to the special room and we don't really know what's going on at this point in time. But in this room, it's an ice room, it's a cold room, it's a freezer room, is a man in a diving suit on a table, and it turns out this is her husband, and his name is Oliver. Okay. And it's just, there you go. Her husband is a popsicle. It's Oliver the popsicle. So there. Okay, so I want to go here. Let's talk about David. David, he's still out cold in our world, right? And he's out cold. So he is actually in an astral plane. Okay, he's gone too far into the memory work, and he ran off to a place of his own making, but it led him to another area, an astral plane. And while there, lo and behold, he sees somebody in an old-fashioned diving suit, and the guy's waving him to follow him. So, David's got some guts. I'll give him that. He follows the guy. And they climb up into this place they're in the astral plane. It makes sense if you think about it. You're in an astral plane. You can kind of make what you want, right? So they climb into this thing, and it looks like a big, giant iceberg kind of thing, right? Floating in the air. And in there is the room. And the guy gets out of it, and it's Leisure Suit Larry. Okay? Leisure Suit Larry is actually Leisure Suit Oliver. Okay? So, and he's like excited. He's got somebody there. He's been there for years. And it looks like it's been, like 20 years. Well, he's in a 70s outfit. How about that? He's in a 70s outfit, and he's, his ice cube room is decor of, ultra modern 70s. So, he has David there. He finally has somebody else there. He's like, he pours him a drink. And it says, "Would you like to listen to some music?" And he opens and he puts an album on, vinyl, good old fashioned vinyl on a good old fashioned turntable. And I'm telling you, I had one similar to this where you lifted the plastic, the vacuum form plastic lid to get to put the needle on, and then you close it back up. But it's this jazz, right? It's 70s jazz, and that's an acquired taste. It really is. I like some of it, but it was too much for David. He couldn't handle it. Then they talk a little bit more, and again, Oliver tries to do some beat bop poetry on him, and it's like, no, that's not going to cut it either. And but they talk for a little bit, and so he says, I got to get out of here. And he's like, well, if you go out there, he's going to be waiting for you. Your monster's going to be waiting for you. And David's like, what do you mean? And Oliver realizes this devil, this monster, makes him forget. He sees him, right? So we've seen these scenes where he's seen the yellow-eyed monster, but then when he looks away, he's gone, and he doesn't act like he's seen anything weird, except for he's like, something's off, but he doesn't. The monster makes him forget, which is, okay, that's a nice preservation method for the monster. So, Dave is like, I got to get out of here. I can't stay here. I have stuff to do. Amy needs me. Sid needs me. So he leaves, and Oliver's, of course, a little downtrodden, but he's like, I'll keep an eye on you as best I can. But, so he leaves. And after a little bit, he's been wandering around for a little bit, apparently, and he runs into Lenny. Okay, so Lenny finds him, and Lenny starts tormenting him a little bit as she has been doing. We're gonna stick with she. It just makes it easier for the visuals. And Lane's like, you got to get out of here, right? I have to get out of here. I can't stay here. You have to get us out of here. And so what does she do? She makes him mad. She enrages him. She shows him something. Well, it turns out, she shows him something particular to make him mad. While Sid, Ptonomy, and Kerry too got to the lighthouse to visit Dr. Poole. Okay, they sat down with some tea with Dr. Poole, and his face is a little messed up from, oh geez, I don't know, he had a real smash into his face. This thing weighs probably about 30-40 pounds. So and apparently, he's like, I'd like to know why. Why did he do this to me? I lost my family, and I'm blind in one eye. I can't concentrate. Why did he ruin my life? And then Kerry too is looking out the window during this. She's not really into the talking stuff. And before you know it, all of a sudden we realize that, they look away, and he pans back onto Dr. Poole, but it's not Dr. Poole, it's the Eye. It's Walter, the Eye. And so apparently he has the ability to morph his physical appearance into somebody else. And Kerry too is looking out the window, and a bunch of soldiers come up, reveal themselves. They start running. They take to climbing up the stairs, going upstairs in the lighthouse. In the meantime, very interesting. The Eye is walking very calmly, and they do slow motion, so you see that he's very calm, and all this stuff's happening around him. Bullets are flying, all over the place, and he's not getting touched by a single thing. He doesn't care. He's not acting like he's in any danger at all. So he does this, and they go upstairs. Ptonomy has a pistol, and from I don't know, maybe 10 feet away, is squeezing off a few rounds. Doesn't touch him with it. He doesn't even try to dodge him at all. The Eye doesn't. So obviously another aspect of his abilities. Then he takes, the Eye takes his jacket off, and Ptonomy takes his hat off, and they're going to duke it out. And the Eye puts his hand on Ptonomy's forehead, and it knocks him out. Okay. The Eye's pretty strong, pretty powerful guy. But boom, knocks him out. Next is Sid. Sid's not stupid. Sid's got a special power, right? So Sid takes her glove off. She's been wearing gloves, and she takes her glove off, and she's already seen the attack once, so she knows what's coming. The guy goes to put his hand on her, and she lifts her hand up, and essentially they high five. Well, we know what happens when she touches people. So now they've exchanged souls, okay, and it knocks her body out, and she's in the Eye's body now. Some people come up the stairs, and she acts the part, and then the Eye in her body says, this is a trick, and gets kicked in the face and knocked out. They put him into a truck, and the Eye, Sid, in the Eyes, portraying the Eye, says, put him in the truck, and I'll drive him back myself. So they do that. Now, the entire time this is going on, Lenny is using this image, somehow is able to produce this image of what's going on onto onto an old Philco TV set in David's Astral Plane room, and it enrages him because he sees Sid is hurt. He sees Sid on the floor, he's injured, and the Eye is on top of her, and Lenny just uses this image to piss him off, right? And so, sure enough, it works. He uses his powers, and he breaks free of the astral plane right there where they are at, and the truck is coming, and he just puts his hands out. The truck veers away. Now, I'm not too sure if it was his power or just the fact that Sid saw him and steered the truck away from him, ran into a tree. Okay. I personally think it's entirely possible he didn't do anything at that point. He gets everybody. He gets Sid's body out. Says the eye in it. First, hands her the knife that he used to cut her bonds, and then says, "Hang on, I'll get the others." And of course, now she's behind him. And with a knife. So, but before he's getting ready to do that, Sid, the driver, grabs sees what's happening, what's going down, throws a crowbar back there, and knocks the knife out of her hand. Oh my gosh! Everybody runs. Of course, David has no idea. Tackles the eye body, and then the other one gets away. He thinks he's saving Sid, and Sid's getting away from the eye. And then all of a sudden, because of the weird aspect of her power, so they switch souls. But then when they switch back, it's like the body catches up with the soul. The body goes to the soul. So the soul goes away from the body and goes into somebody else. And then when they switch back, the body goes to where the soul is. So all of a sudden he's on top of Sid and holding her down, and the eye is getting away. And that, my friends, was chapter 4. So, what time is it? Oh my gosh. Okay. Hey, we did pretty good. So, what did you think? Did you get a chance to watch it? I know you didn't. So, did you get a chance to watch it? I'm enjoying the show. My next episode will be one I have not seen before. It'll be chapter 5, which is really cool. I'm looking forward to it. And then there's chapter 6, and we're all caught up. Have some stuff going on. Tomorrow night, it looks like I have to do my role as a deacon. It's looking like tomorrow night, but I might have time to still get another one out tomorrow night. We shall see. I have other things going on, but so we're gonna try to get one more of these out, possibly tomorrow night, and then get all caught up over the weekend, and that'll be great. So anyway, tell me what you thought. Tell me what you think's going on. Tell me if you think I'm right about my motherboard, because like I said, we took that i5 processor, we put it into another motherboard, and it booted up just fine. It posted just fine. Everything worked just fine in another motherboard. So we're saying it is the motherboard that's bad on this thing. So if you're a computer geek, I'm really not a computer geek. I'm actually listening to somebody else who knows way more than I do. So anyway, you guys have a great night, and I'm hoping to get this thing posted overnight to you. Hopefully it'll upload by midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. So have a great night. God love you.